Hello, Battery. Myself from village area. I made this little intro for you, and I made it only for you, bro. Can you please rate it, man? I worked with all my life, man. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know. It's unfortunate.
I understand it takes the time.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed a paradigm shift in the world of F1. You can say it's a hyperbole, but now we have official confirmation that Valtteri Bottas is now headed for Alfa Romeo and he's going to be replaced by this unknown guy named George Russell. Sorry, that was just me being ecstatic and sarcastic. But he's finally getting that Merc seat, and he has which he was been rumored for such a long time. And guess who's replacing him at Williams? Alex Albon. I totally didn't see that coming. So here we have Shiv, no Ishan. So let's talk about your opinion in these seat changes and what are your thoughts about these future prospects of those guys currently driving in Formula 2? Shiv.
So, before the season even began, I think in your Bahrain episode only, I said that I don't think Toto Wolff is going to keep Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, because it will be like Rosberg and Hamilton all over again. But he did it. So, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect George Russell because see, Lewis Hamilton is now statistically the greatest of all time. He has 100 wins right now as we are shooting this episode. He has 100 pole positions. He has 7 world championships and countless fastest laps. So, and that was, see, that is the thing. So, when Rosberg was also challenging Lewis Hamilton in 2016, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg had nothing to lose. Like if he was beaten by Lewis Hamilton at a race, then nobody said Rosberg anything because Lewis Hamilton at that time was a 3-time world champion, and Rosberg was like a 10-time Grand Prix winner only. And see, and it's the other way around also. So if Lewis Hamilton gets beaten by a youngster who hasn't won anything, by George Russell, then it will be like a very big it will be a mark on Lewis's legacy that he got beaten by a 23-year-old in his first season. Kind of like what happened with Leclerc and Seb.
Sebastian.
Seb was in 2018 the number one driver at Ferrari. Then this young superstar guy came in the name of Charles Leclerc, and like he absolutely demolished Seb in 2019 and 2020.
It's such a contrasting image shift that Ferrari usually, treated Seb as their diamond mine, like he was their golden child, but he was like treated like a second driver. Like literally, Sebastian Vettel, a four-time world champion. How could you do such a thing? That's why Ferrari lost my respect, man. Because
When you're driving for Ferrari, you always have that pressure on your shoulders. That's why whenever you sign for Ferrari, this is the main uh, thing that you have to understand. Because like when you have the whole pressure on your shoulders, Ferrari being the great team as we know, 250 Grand Prix victories. I think like they have 10 or 11 world champions, and like the legacy that they have in the sport. When you're driving for Ferrari, you're always expected to win. And like right now, like we have Ferrari fans are happy when they're coming P5. It's not where Ferrari belongs.
exactly. But don't you think that it's like the dark time of Ferrari? Like before, Michael Schumacher came along, he started his dominance in 2000. But back in the 90s, he was like really struggling in Ferrari, in his Ferrari. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like he joined Ferrari in 96 and 1996. They didn't have like a great car in 96. He only won he won like 3 races. He won at Spain, at the wet race. Then he won at Monza, and I think he won at one other circuit. I don't remember. I think Hungary was it. And then 97, they had a good car. They were challenging for the title, but at the European Grand Prix, Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve collided, and we know what happened after that. 98, 99, the title fight went down to the wire between Mika Hakkinen and Michael Schumacher. Hakkinen edging Michael Schumacher in both the seasons. Then in 2000, Schumacher won like 3 races in a row towards the end of the season, like Monza, Indianapolis, and Suzuka, which gave him his third world title.
I really love that 2000 Suzuka race. Like, it's
Yeah.
so. poignant in the it has such a historical significance in this sport. Like if you're a F1 fan, you have to watch that race. That's how like you get actually initiated. So, Shiv, it's been a long time coming for some of these guys. But what would have happened if Merck had actually retained Bottas? Could Russell should have left for Red Bull Academy or
No.
something?
No, no, no. Actually, see, like Nico Rosberg spent 4 years with Williams before joining Mercedes. Valtteri Bottas spent 4 years with Williams. So I was thinking like he should stay with Williams for 2022 till the end of 2022. And if after that for 2023, if he doesn't get a Merc seat, then he should start exploring other options. But see, Merc in the turbo hybrid era have like 74% of all the pole positions, have won every single driver and constructor championships, are like the like the team you need to beat in the turbo hybrid era. And I don't, and when you're like in the Merck's driver academy, they only had like Esteban Ocon at that time, which is now who is now in Renault, and George Russell. So like Merck don't have like after George Russell they don't have like a successor for the team. Like
All right.
after Lewis retires, it will be a big question who will replace him.
Hey, yeah, we were thinking that Lewis would retire this season itself after having won eight times the world champion. But what could you say? Like he's actually going for tenth, I think, right? Like 2 more years at Merck's.
Yeah. But let's see. Next year, new regulations. McLaren and Ferrari also very close to Merck and Red Bull.
Hey,
Let's see what happens.
what if Alfa Romeo develops a much better car than Merck? Like,
They play a Braun GP. Imagine if
sad,
Bottas wins the title and Hamilton comes second next year.
bro. That would be such a
Actually,
burn. Like,
yeah, Bottas like deserves the world title because all that after all that he's done for Mercedes, like when he joined Mercedes Benz, Nico Rosberg had just left the team, and Nico Rosberg was a guy who like beat Lewis Hamilton in his final season. And actually, Toto Wolff offered Nico Rosberg £100 million if he stayed at Mercedes for 2017.
wait,
So,
100 million pounds?
yeah, yeah, I'm not
100
kidding.
million pounds? What
Yes,
the
100
hell?
million. £100 million. Nico Rosberg said recently in an interview.
God, he left that much amount of money
Yeah,
on the table. Like,
yeah, but see, like he owns now Extreme E Team, and he's like a brand ambassador for Audi electric EV version. Nick Rosberg is the brand ambassador, and like he's still very rich. He lives in Monaco,
I
and
think
he's spending
everyone
time.
lives at Monaco at this point.
I
But
think
yeah,
one of the main reasons why Rosberg left Mercedes and left the sport was because of the toxicity. Like you had Lewis Hamilton, who was like you had Lewis Hamilton versus Rosberg in 2016, which everyone was loving, and the inside team politics was like getting on and on. And plus, what happened with Schumacher, like Schumacher from 1991 to 2012 was in Formula One. He only had like a sabbatical for 3 years. He only spent 3 years with his family, and then in 2013 December he had a huge accident, and he has been bedridden since then. So that's like very sad, one can say. And that must have had a huge impact on Rosberg's retirement.
so Shivanshu, another question is like in the long term, how many more years would do you want to see Max Verstappen racing in a Red Bull? Because there was always a 2014 for Sebastian Vettel. He had got a shit car, and he switched his team. So how about Max? When will he change his team actually?
See, if Red Bull keep on developing a good enough car, like third or second fastest car, then I think he will stay at Red Bull. But he has a clause in his contract that if Red Bull failed to provide him a like second or third fastest car, then he can leave Red Bull and explore other options before his contract is expired.
Wow.
So yeah, he has a clause. That's why before the season began, some were speculating that if Red Bull are not fast this year, then Verstappen might leave Red Bull. And people were speculating that Leclerc had the same clause in his contract also. So if Ferrari are like developing a very bad car, then Leclerc can also explore other options. But that was just a rumor, and Leclerc recently said that he hopes to extend his contract from till like 2025 or 2026.
All right. So, Shivanshu, we have now 4 races altogether to break down here. I think the first one won't take much of your time. So, let us start with Spa. And obviously, not much to talk about here. Albeit, I wish those guys, the crowd, really got their refunds. Like it was such an
Uh-huh.
ominous sign, with the director having been fatally involved in a double homicide side case and the deaths of people due to the flood around nearby regions. But I have to say, like, one of the most beautiful circuits in the world had provided a very grim imagery in contrast with its, natural beauty. It's regarded as the most beautiful circuit. So these are the results, all right. So Max Verstappen came P1, followed by George Russell, then Lewis Hamilton. Now, tell me about it. What are your thoughts on the results? What are your thoughts on the weekend right now?
See, this like Spa qualifying proved to us that the Mercedes powered cars in wet conditions are like the ones to beat. Because Norris, if he hadn't crashed in Q2 or like at the beginning of Q3, he would have gotten pole position.
Yeah,
And George Russell, like even in Spa, he got second, and in Sochi, he got third place. And yeah, actually, that's a little bit ahead. We are in Spa only.
no, no,
And
no.
Hamilton was third. Hamilton was like fourth fastest, and the only guy who could beat them was Max Verstappen in a Red Bull. Checo Perez was also down in like eight or nine, if I'm not wrong. So
All right.
yeah, like Merc powered cars in wet conditions are the ones to beat,
you
and
know
Ferrari powered cars
I
in
just
street circuits.
forgot to add, like, you just mentioned how much toxicity was there between Nico Rosberg and the entire Merck team. I play a lot of F1 2020, the video game, because I don't have the budget for 21. So I had actually, as per my preference, I selected to go for Mercedes. And the game favors Lewis Hamilton so much, he literally lets the AI of Lewis Hamilton win every race. And every race, whenever I fuck up, Lewis Hamilton will obviously win it. So obviously, I had to sabotage his pit stop. I had used to damage his car a bit, and that's how I actually won my first world title in that game. Yeah, like Lewis Hamilton is so much renowned in this sport at this point. It's almost
Uh,
like surreal. All right, so let us see. So I'd really like to know your thoughts about on the U Rouge turn this year, because it was a site for quite a few accidents we witnessed. So we had crashes during the W Series race, and we even had a crash in the 24 hours of Spa at that time. So,
yeah.
but hopefully everyone made out of it safe and sound. So, what are your thoughts? Like, how should they adjust that turn so that we can avoid any further accidents or fatalities? To say so.
Actually, you can't do anything with Oruge. You can add a chicane like they did, but it would be of no use and it will just kill the overtaking. Because the main overtaking that happens at Spa is at the Camel Straight only. Because after the Camel Straight, from all the way from Licom, which is turn 7, to bus stop chicane, there's like you can't overtake because there's not much chance. You can overtake at Puan, but like, no one dares to do it because you're going 330 miles, 330 kilometers per hour flat out. No one has ever done it. So the only overtaking you can do is Camel Straight, and the reason you can do overtaking around Camel Straight is because of the high speed that you go through a Rouge with. And if you like add a chicane just before a Rouge, it will just slow the cars down and it will kill the overtaking. You can't do anything about it. They can like straighten a Rouge out a little bit or change the barrier position, which many people have been protesting against. Because the when you're going from Arush, the top of the hill is Radian, and the part is Arush. So when you're at Arush, you can't see what's happening above you. If there is a crash at Radion and the driver is going flat out through Arush, you can't see what has happened,
Oh
and
yeah.
they are going like 250 kilometers per hour, and even if they are like braking, they will like hit the car, like we saw with Antoine Hubert.
Yeah, that was kind of unfortunate, because one day I was playing with Ishan and he actually showed me the spot where he had his accidents. Like, how did his car, swerve off to the right? Because I thought the accident happened towards the left side of that turn. But
Yeah, that's the problem. When he went through Radion, he crashed at the left-hand side barrier, and the force was so much so that it pushed the car towards the right-hand side of the track. And I think Juan Manuel Correa was coming up to it, and he hit Antoine Hubert's car. He like T-boned Antoine Hubert.
yeah, yeah.
That's what called his death.
All right. So, Shiv, I usually pray for rainfalls during race weekends because it adds more entertainment and uncertainty, like 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix, or what occurred at Hungary earlier this year. But after this race, I actually pray that the track remains as dry as they can be. because it really sucked that weekend to have stuck around for 4 hours watching like countless 5 minutes delay and watching the damn safety car. That safety car literally gave me headaches this time, because as a matter of fact, when I saw the safety car in the last race at Sochi, I had a sick feeling because watching that Aston Martin breezing through. But fortunate, I was very happy, and it was very fortunate that we had a race. So we should really be thankful for Mother
Yeah.
Russia, I guess. So, what are your thoughts? Like, how did you spend your weekend, Dad? Like, I saw the entire broadcast. You must have quit halfway bit through it, right?
Actually, I also saw the whole broadcast. I saw the qualifying and I was like, yeah, this is an interesting game. Tomorrow's race is going to be interesting. And like, see, FIA should like add a rule or something like that. Because, see, the, the rain was so much so that they couldn't race. So they just like for namesake, they went out 2 laps behind the safety car so that they can award points to the drivers, which was not okay. I don't think they should have awarded points for that race because they literally didn't race. They just went around behind the safety car for 2 laps.
But they have given half points this season, which really shows how intense
Yeah.
this entire title fight is going to be. But let's talk about the major highlight of the qualifying, because George Russell's, he was driving a magical lap. He was driving a car not even meant for that year, because Haas and Williams have invested their cash in the development of their 2022 car. And the fact of the matter is, he literally placed his Williams shitbox right on top of his soon-to-be partner, and not to mention the seven-time world champion. So how is
In a
that even
Mercedes.
possible? Yeah, in Mercedes. How is that even possible? Like, how? What did he do? Did he like corner cut? Did he teleport or something? I just don't get
Uh,
how it was so
I think
unreal.
I think like Williams found a new set of intermediate tires while the others were on like uh used set of intermediate tires. Maybe that's the reason why. I haven't checked the tire set allotted or some or things like that. So I'm just guessing that they found a new set of intermediate tires.
All right. So I just said that this they are giving half points, and because they completed more than 2 laps behind a safety car and was less than 75% of the race. So ratings. All right. So Shiv, how would you rate this weekend, which was very well wasted? I'd give it a 5 out of 10 because of the Russell factor, and the fact that Michael Massey's delayed directives gave me headaches during the entirety of those 4 hours. I'm gonna give it a
And one
zero
more thing I would like to say that they cancelled the race on Sunday because one of the main reasons why was Norris's crash on
Saturday.
qualifying on Saturday. Yes, because see, Sebastian Vettel was saying that they shouldn't continue. There was too much aquaplaning, and going through Rouge and Radion flat out in wet conditions is very very dangerous. And Spa has like a lot of high speed corners. You have Blanchimont, you have Pouhon, you have Rouge Radion, then you have the Licom chicane also, which is very fast. And you can't like in those wet conditions, you can't have a like qualifying of a race. I, I have to agree with Michael Massey. What he did was right because he was just like during the race time he was just observing the conditions and seeing what it was. But yeah, the rain was too much.
Sebastian actually proved that he'd be a better director because he predicted a race flag during quali, and he's so wholesome. He even checked if Norris is okay after he crashed in Q3. So, like other incidents included Mick and Sebastian having some kind of a not father-son bonding time. They were playing football, and apparently Germans are really good at it. Lando was sleeping off. Marshall's कंचे खेल रहे थे. Some guys actually mocked some kind of a pit stop somewhere trashed their go-kart. Some guy took it out. Daniel Ricciardo
Yeah,
was caught live attempting some kind of a cocaine a clutch on one of his pit crew. So that's pretty much it. I don't think much of note happened thereafter. But one thing was so clear, like there was a hype around Williams, because you would expect that race pace to be there, when he is placed on Q2. But as I found out later on Sochi, like it's just not possible for that team right now. Am I correct?
mm. It was like very wholesome to see Williams back on the podium because
Hmm.
those are the teams like they deserve to be on the podium.
All right, now on to the next race. We are here at Dutch Grand Prix. All right, so we had Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, your typical podium lineup. So I think you must be noticing that Max apparently has a lot of hometown advantage. I mean, At Monaco, he lives, he won. He was born at Spa, he won there technically. Red Bull Ring is at Austria, so yeah, duh. He's a Dutch, he won here too. It's actually fun to see a much newer track, especially one which was used to host a race where the late great Niki Lauda was the last winner of a Grand Prix. So, what are your thoughts on the circuit shift? I'd really like to know the thoughts on the bankings and stuff. Tell me.
Like the circuit, from a perspective point of view, it's great. From a racing point of view, it sucks because you can't overtake around Zandvoort. It's very hard to overtake. You can only overtake from to turn one, and that's also very like rare because you have the banking and nobody dares to go side by side through the banking. And one of the main things I noticed during the weekend was usually towards the new track, they really brings the medium range of tires, like from C4, C3, C2. But this weekend they brought their hardest tires because of the banking, and we all know what happens when cars go on soft tires at the banking. 2500 amperes.
All right, nice.
Actually,
So,
I actually thought that one tire might explode during the Grand Prix because the loads are too high. But then I think it's only 12-degree banking at Zandvoort.
you gotta
So,
trust the tires, man. Go hard. But I really liked their crowd. Like they were absolutely wild and they were rowdy as hell when someone actually played Supermax on those speakers. I mean, like those guys are like legends at this point.
this is what
Whoever
Formula
made
One is
Supermax.
about, like
Like this,
supporting your.
it gets it. At some point, I find it like emitting so much emotions out of me. Like this sport is such a wonder. Like why doesn't it have a big fan base here in India? We have a track which we haven't used in like 8 years.
But the international circuit is like one of the best tracks in the world right now.
It's been regarded as the best tracks, and I even love it, man. I played F1 2013, and I intend to make a video on it. This is a reminder for myself, future Ariman, make a video on it. All right. So other than that, it was a pretty common affair. Max got P1, decent start, and that's pretty much it. Sebastian actually spun his Aston Martin, if you remember.
Like,
I thought, but I like to talk about what Mark did. I personally feel that they let Max take this one win because for some reason they actually put Lewis out on mediums in the 21st lap, which is totally nonsensical. But would you like to talk about the tire management on this track? Because I think it was unreal, like most of the tracks that we have currently. Tell me, Shiv.
see, because of the banking, I don't think the tire management was like as effective as possible, and teams like it's basically like a street track only because of all the bumps there are there and the highly abrasive nature of the track with all the ups and downs. The Zandvoort was mostly like a street track only. That's why the Ferraris were so competent, the AlphaTauris and the McLaren was so bad. So that is why one of the main reasons why I think. And plus turn three I would like to talk about. The whole weekend, practice one, practice two, practice three, qualifying, everyone took the high line around turn three. And then in the race, some drivers thought, oh, let's take this slower line, the lower line. When they took it, it actually caused contact between Alonso and Ocon because
Yeah.
Alonso expected everyone to go towards the top, and Ocon and Sainz and Giovinazzi were all taking the low line.
Yeah, but I'd
So
like to ask you, why don't you just take the low line? Because your
low line
car
is
would be
actually
much
very
more
slow.
stable. You may lose a little bit of pace, but you won't win. Yeah, like you won't even spin
Actually,
on the
the
track.
low line, the banking at turn three also is very much. So when you're taking the low line, it causes the cars to like bottom out a little bit. That's why I think they were not taking the low line. Plus, the low line is a slower line.
Yeah,
The high line is a faster one.
but it's a much safer option, right? Like you can
Yeah,
take.
during the like qualifying and all, it's okay to take the high line, because the high line is faster. During the race, you can't take the low line, but some drivers didn't expect it. Like Alonso, he was the only one who took the high line at lap one. After that, at lap one, everyone took the low line. After that, everyone was taking the high line only.
All right, on to the next news. So, Bottas was actually feeling highly motivated after the news of his seat at Alfa Romeo broke out. He was actually performing really well, and I think still he still is. And unlike Shawn Michaels, you could say that he actually got his smile back. He performed, I think, really well from my perspective, and he still got the fastest lap even after being advised under team orders to abort his attempt. It was like a true James it's Valtteri moment, and I'd rather have Alfa Romeo develop a better Merc car for next year. As I said before, I want to let Toto see what a grave mistake he had made. Which reminds me that Toto has actually gone on record to say that Russell would be actually reoriented and recalibrated for his seat at Merc. That that doesn't sound good at all. Like, I don't I feel like they're gonna brainwash him or something to follow team orders in order to let Lulu win more titles. Like, I mean, if you guys agree, but tell me about your view.
See, the reason why they were like Bottas when he joined Mercedes, he had only one role to be the second driver. When Hamilton wins, they want Bottas to take the second place, and when Hamilton is like supposedly like down in P10 or like Hamilton has DNF, then they want Valtteri to win the race. And that's what he did because like in the weekends where till 2020 in the weekends where Hamilton was not there, not performing at his level, Bottas was there to collect up the pieces for Merc, and he was always in second place. And he was like as Toto said before, he was like a sensational wingman, like very much like what Barrichello was to Schumacher
Damn. I still
or
feel for
Weber was
Barrichello.
to Vettel.
It wasn't wise for Toto to call him a wingman in public, man. Like, fit in
Uh,
inside the
Plus,
house.
one more thing was like they knew about Valtteri's pace. That's why they never offered him a contract longer than 1 year. In 2017, they offered him a contract for 2018. In 2018, they offered him for 2019. 2019, they offered him for 2020.
Shit, he
That's why
was
they
like
were only
always
giving.
on the fly. Really?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because in 2020 they offered him for 1 year in 2021, and 2019 they offered him for 2020. 2019 and 2020, I'm damn sure. 2017 or 18, I'm a little bit skeptical.
Pretty
But still,
debatable
also
topic. I don't
now
think
that
Merc.
he has a 2 year contract at Alfa Romeo, we can see what happened at Monza.
Well, let's see. So I'd really like to take this rating stuff. I'd really actually give it a 0 out of 10 for letting my Lulu go out on a three-stopper strategy. Who the hell does that? But I'd give Valtteri an 8/10 for finally showing some cojones against his masters at Merc. Overall, it was the usual affair, so the race entirely is a 7/10 for me. And how would you rate it, Shiv?
Which like Monza or Zandvoort?
Zandvoort.
I would rate 7 or 8 out of 10 just because of the atmosphere.
All right. So, like, I'd just like to take this moment to actually show our gratitude for Kimi Räikkönen, who announced his retirement via Instagram while I was actually streaming The Wolf Among Us on my channel. Now, I don't have a montage because literally every week would have done that at this point, but I'd really like to thank him for those epic moments and those memes. Actually a legend to be cherished for a really long time. So,
Yeah.
Shiv, what is your favorite Räikkönen memory?
Favorite track in memory. It has to be either Spa 2009
La vittoria
or
manca a un campione più
Spa 2004.
dell'ossigeno e anche tutta la
2009,
Ferrari
Ferrari didn't
boccheggiava
have a car
dall'inizio della
that could
stagione
compete
2009 e cioè
at the
ormai
front.
da 5 mesi.
Like 2009 Ferrari was very much similar to the
Ci
2021
voleva
Ferrari, and he won
per questa
at Spa.
stagione così
It's
difficile, ma
Ferrari's
questo
only
vuol
win
dire
that season.
crederci,
And
lavorare,
then
continuare a
2004 Spa,
spingere.
because before that every single race was won by Michael Schumacher and Ferrari, except the Monaco Grand Prix. And it's like he won at Spa Francorchamps, which is Michael's favorite track, Ferrari's strongest track, and he won there in McLaren, beating the great Michael Schumacher. It's like, yeah,
Well, my favorite memory for Raikkonen is when he qualified P1 at Circuit of the Americas in 2018, and the Finnish commentators really lost their shit.
Kimi Räikkönen ottaa paalupaikan Italian Grand Prixin 2018. Apina on karannut selästä.
Kimi, you are on board. Thank you.
And Kimi being Kimi, he just said thank you when he was told
that
that
was
he got
Monza.
P1. Yeah. Wait, it was Monza?
Yeah, he got pole position at Monza. He won at Kota.
Yeah, man.
He
Continuity.
started second at Kota. First was Lewis.
Oh, man. but he got tested positive for COVID-19 and he missed the Italian and Dutch GP. But we actually got to see Mr. Giga Kubica for a while. But man, he has some bad luck because he retired from Le Mans in the final lap.
Yeah,
Had it not
LMP2
been for
category.
his World Rally Championship crash, I'm pretty sure he would have contended or even have won a WDC on behalf of
He
Scuderia.
was supposed to drive for Ferrari
Yeah, that's
in
what I'm
2012.
saying. Like he would have won, but he actually finished over Mazepin. So now Mazepin is 21st in a 20 driver championship league, which
Boom. Only Mazepin stuff, coach stuff. I'm telling you, Mazepin should win the world championship.
oh man.
Gotifi and Mazepin at Merck for 2024.
All right.
2025, actually.
All right, now let's go on to Monza. So here we are at the Italian Grand Prix, and it's the temple of speed, and it's a true fact because miracles do happen here. Last year, Pierre Gasly pulled an emphatic win in his AlphaTauri, which very well may have been a statement to Christian Horner. Like, I wonder how awkward things will be when Gasly gets his RB seat back, and it's gonna be like so tense. So Shiv, I would really want to ask you something about Checo. So does he have any championship prospects left at all at this point? Because he is driving in a championship winning car, and what would it take for him to impede Max for a year so he can get the drivers' championship? Tell me your thoughts.
I don't think Checo is going to challenge Max for the world championship. He can challenge him for a race win or two occasionally, but I don't think he is going to challenge him because he knows what pressure it has on one, and especially when Max is like considered to be one of the best, if not the best at the grid at the moment. So I think he's not going to challenge him for the world championship. For a race win here or two, I think he is going to. Plus, Checo has not adapted to his Red Bull car as well as, like, say, Sainz has adapted to his Ferrari, or even Seb has adapted to his Aston.
All right. Italy expects a major part of the Tifosi to be there, but ever since Ferrari got screwed due to their power units, fuel inflow violations, their pace got messed up, and you know how the SF1000 performed last year. So,
Yeah.
as you might very well be aware of, Netflix actually released the documentary Schumacher, and may have indirectly urged people to turn up. But I don't know. What do you think about their reputation right now, Ferraris?
Ferrari's reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to bring out a good enough car for to challenge for the championship for next year. Because like they haven't won a single championship since 2008. They haven't won a single Grand Prix since 2019, which is like very bad considering where they are expected to perform.
Exactly. So, but we had to make do with a half Italian bloke who won the race. And somewhere in France, Cyril must be kicking himself because he berated both Esteban Ocon and the honey badger Daniel Ricciardo during their tenure at Renault. So, I was pretty happy to see Ricardo in his current form. We have been discussing his comeuppance on this show for quite a while. So, what are your thoughts on his redemption day at Monza?
Yeah, see, it was very good to see Daniel win at Monza, because considering his Italian heritage and how bad his season has been, 2021 has been for Ricardo. It was great to see him win at Monza. And after the race, he even said in an interview that he hoped to see a Ferrari on the podium.
Really?
Yeah, after the post-race interview, he spoke in Italian and he said that I wish the Ferrari guys were there on the podium. Because
Was
Daniel Ricciardo has always been linked with with the Ferrari seat. In 2019, he was supposed to join, but then Charles Leclerc joined. In 2021, also, before the two major candidates for the Ferrari seat were Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo.
Hey, have you ever noticed that Carlos Sainz is pretty much playing a driver's career game because he has switched so many seats? He was usually starting out in Red Bull, then he got over in McLaren, then he has switched over to Ferrari. Like,
He was in Renault also.
yeah, he was in Renault too, but
Yeah.
what is his reputation, man? He's
This
switching
is
his team.
this is why Sainz is one of the most underrated drivers on the grid. Because every car he changes, he has to adapt to that car. From Toro Rosso to Renault, and then from Renault to McLaren. Then he was with Renault for like 1.5 seasons. He had to adapt to that Renault car, and he adapted very well. Even at McLaren, in 2019, he was doing very well. He got a podium at Brazil for McLaren. In 2020, he was like driving superbly, and now he has adapted so well to the Ferrari car also that at the moment they're shooting this. he's like 8 points ahead of Leclerc in the championship.
Yeah, I think by the time he'll be done, he'll I think be the most decorated F1 driver in history because of his team changes. But
Yeah.
Shiv, you have gone on record to say that Red Bull has a major disadvantage on this track. What's the main reason for this?
Because of the see the when a car has so much downforce always comes with a drag. Downforce is the amount of air that is pushing your car towards the ground. And see, when when there's more air pushing towards the top speed of your car becomes very low and low, and the Honda engine isn't the best in the field at the moment. That's why Red Bull had such a major disadvantage going into this race. And Mercedes car has also been less draggy and has of course, the Mercedes engine, which is like the best in the field.
Right. So again we are on Valtteri. So he had a huge recovery drive after he took a grid penalty for changing his power unit, and he was like on a roll of momentum here. So I'd really like to know about your expectations for him at Alfa Romeo next year.
He will be going up against, let's say, Guan Yu or Antonio Giovinazzi, who are good drivers but not Bottas's caliber. Bottas is like very underrated at the moment because he's going up against the seven-time world champion, the GOAT, as some people might call him. And even when he's like 2.5 tenths behind Lewis Hamilton, people criticize him so much. While on the other hand, Checo is like half a second behind Verstappen. So people don't realize it, but Bottas is like top five best drivers on the grid at the moment.
All right. So Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly being the latest winner at Monza, they were not able to complete the race with Yuki having some technical issues. He couldn't even start the race, and Gasly crashed in the first lap. So, is it related to the issues pertaining to Red Bull on this track? Anything related to the Honda engine?
No, I don't think so because uh, why did Gasly have to retire at Monza?
He crashed in
No,
the first lap. Like his front wing came out, and
but
then he
but
went.
he crashed at the sprint race, right? He didn't crash at the.
Wait, there was a big, large, like they were on the turn, and then he just went off. I think he
No, no, no.
retired,
That was at the sprint race, right?
but did he finish the main race? That's the
No,
question.
that's what I'm asking. How did he DNF at the main race?
Wait,
Like,
little bit of fact checking. So let's just skip this topic. I think I just got my facts.
I think he crashed at the sprint quali and he didn't start the main race.
Wait,
And
now I have to check, man. Pierre Gasly
yeah,
was had a suspension issue. I told you, like
no,
both Alpha Tauris suffered, man. He
no, no,
also,
no. Yeah, I know they both retired. My question was like, how did Pierre retire? Because he crashed at the sprint quali, and it's written that on his way to the grid he reported a problem.
yeah. There was not written much here, but it's showing that he retired in the third lap for a suspension issue, and yeah, he actually started in the pit lane for that race. You know that Yuki
Yeah,
Tsunoda
that.
was the one who did not start the race.
Yeah,
Got it. So back to where we were. So I think it's a pretty much yeah. Monza is the second track to host the season's sprint race, and one of the highlights in the 50 lap quali was Norris actually had an excellent defense against Hamilton, who really got a rough start on both occasions. I'd like to ask you about Norris's excellent performance in these recent races, and what about the team orders at McLaren? Like, how would the team fare if they never had any kind of a team orders, unlike Merck or Ferrari or Red Bull? I think it's pretty rhetorical because they're all championship winning cars, but don't you think that it leads to a level of deception on the grid and in the paddock? Tell me, Shiv.
like I don't know, cause McLaren at the moment they have Lando Norris performing at such a high level. They have so much expectation from him and the car, cause the car is like very good in wet conditions. Also, the McLaren has the least amount of drag in the field. The Mercedes is more draggy than the McLaren car. That that's in that's a
Yeah.
statement in itself. And uh, yeah, plus Ricardo is performing such a bad level. I think if Ricardo was performing like the level of Norris, they would have been let's say they would have like cleared P3 in the championship by now. That's I'm sure about,
Oh,
because
that's
they are like 10, 20 points ahead of Ferrari right now when Ricardo is performing so bad.
so yeah, that's true. So Max and Lewis, what have had their intense title fight, and this time Max actually took his revenge for Silverstone. He flipped his car on the curves of turn two, and he went headfirst into Hamilton. And guys, like we should really be thankful for the almighty Halo, or God knows what could have happened to Hamilton with these open cockpits. So, Shivakshu, my one question for you is like, what were your initial thoughts when the Halo was first introduced in 2018?
I actually liked it, the Halo. Was because see, if a car can design a good livery, if a team can design a good livery for that car, with the Halo they look so good. Let's say
It
the
looks
2018
so,
Ferrari,
yeah, it looks such more like
complete.
futuristic. Yeah,
Yeah,
the it factor in those cars is the
yeah.
Halo.
They have so much aerodynamic parts around themselves, and you see the open cockpit nature, and you're like, that's good, but there should be something around that part. Because the main monocoque from the driver's head all the way to the front nose, there aren't any like aero parts on that section of the car.
It's true. So, right now, Lewis is leading the Drivers' Championship by a lead of 2 points. And every race, I hope to see, some kind of a gap forming, but fate intervenes and the gap never increases between these two drivers. I mean, what are the odds that the championship will be going down at Abu Dhabi? And what is your
The odds
absolute
are very high.
final prediction? Max or Lewis? Tell me, Shiv.
Let's just wait for 2 minutes. I want to see what's the calendar like. Cause see, the next race, it's
Turkey.
Turkey, and Turkey is a high downforce track. You need a lot of downforce, especially that turn eight area. I think Red Bull will have the edge at Turkey. Then at Kota, again the advantage will swing back to Mercedes. At the Mexican Grand Prix, you'd expect Mercedes to be at the front, but in 2018 and 2019, both of the years, Max almost got pole position. 2019, he got a pole position but got demoted to third, I think. And Brazilian Grand Prix, we all know that
Mark.
Verstappen is
Oh.
no Verstappen. He won it. He won it at Interlagos in 2019. He almost won in 2018, thanks to
I
Ocon.
don't know, man. My experience with Brazilian Grand Prix is much more of a mug dominance issue because Hamilton spun Albon around, and back in 2012 it was Jenson Button who won on behalf of Mercedes in that final race. Which
McLaren.
wait, yeah, Mercedes. Oh shit, what am I doing right now?
Then after Brazil, we have Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is actually Jeddah street circuit is like they are running against time. Because I saw a video of the Jeddah street circuit. They haven't like even laid down the tarmac. It's only 2 months away, and forget the grandstand. The track is not even there right now.
Shit, man. Like,
Yeah,
what the hell?
a Saudi official has said they are running against time to finish the track.
I think
Like,
they'll eventually finish it. It's Jeddah, man. It's their thing to create those architectures and buildings and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But
And then Saudi Arabia, I think there is one more race that is to be decided.
yeah, regarding that final slot, what do you think? Where will that race take place?
Qatar,
I'm
Abu
wishing to
Dhabi.
God they say India. I'm really wishing like hell.
It won't be India. I'm sorry,
Please
but it
come to
won't be
India,
India.
man. Please,
There's no chance it's going to India.
hey, bro. The contractors have actually bought their assets for that entire both international circuit, man. So what are the odds? Sometimes you just
The
have to
main,
wish.
you see, the one of the main reason why the Indian Grand Prix was cancelled was because the Indian government wanted to tax F1 as under the Entertainment Tax, which is more,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the
You
FIA
know who was
management was
who was responsible? You know, it was Akhilesh Yadav, and that's why I would just won't say
no
anything
politics
on him.
from
Like I'm not
And
in
then
politics.
let's skip ahead.
Yeah,
So after Saudi Arabia, we have the final round, Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi will be equal because last year Red Bull won there, but it has always been a more dominated track, Abu Dhabi. Let's
okay.
see. But see
I saw one of those most intense fights for the title back in 2016 because Lewis was actually plotting to let Max and Sebastian Vettel take care of Nico Rosberg at that time. No, he's such a devil at times. I mean, what the?
Seb was actually genuinely not trying to overtake Rosberg. He was just trying to cover the attack of Verstappen. Because Seb knew that Rosberg wanted to win a championship, and Seb was four-time world champion at the time, and they both are Germans. You could see at the onboard of Sebastian Vettel, he wasn't trying to attack Nick Rosberg. He was just covering off Max Verstappen.
All right. So, Shimanshu, now we are here. We are at the final race to be discussed. So, let's discuss the results of the Formula One Valtteri Bottas VTB Russian Grand Prix 2021. So, Lewis Hamilton,
You
got to
planned
even.
that. You pre-planned that, didn't you?
Nope, nope. Totally, it was my fault. All right. So we are here at Mother Russia and Sochi, which is also known as Merck's bitch, because Merck has been the winning constructor for every race here so far. So
Since
it's
1930.
yep. So it's a proper racetrack which right now gets a lot of hate somehow. They're going to be moving it to like St. Petersburg next time in
Yeah,
2023.
yeah.
All right. So, what are thoughts on this track? Why does it get so much, negative reception with F1 fanatics? Tell me, Shiv.
We saw what happened at the race. It's impossible to overtake. Max Verstappen wasn't able to overtake the Alpines. That's like Verstappen in a Red Bull. So yeah, it's very hard to overtake because you can overtake into front straight, but it's the wind is coming from the side, so the DRS isn't that much uh, like powerful. And then after that, from turn two all the way to turn seven, I think it was.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't overtake.
But
Then after
I really like
yeah,
the runoff area of turn two because they have got those what do you call them, those direction things, which you have to swerve through to get back to the track. What are they
like the
called?
chicane kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have added like they have placed bollards. Yeah, see, if you like run wide at turn two, you have to come across from the bollards, and Sainz crashed in the wall last year. And this year, Alonso did like a very cheeky tactic. The rules and regulations state that if you're leaving the track and you're rejoining the track, you have to first of all follow the race directives notes, which state that you have to come from the chicane which is formed by the bollard, and you can't gain any position. But that is such a, like, let's say,
So what's the loophole?
the loophole is that, see, Alonso left the track at turn two. He rejoined after from the bollards. He followed the race director's instructions, but he rejoined at such a high speed compared to Lewis and all. He actually got a good run from that, and and then he was able to overtake George Russell for a brief moment. That was the loophole.
Wow.
Many drivers could have done it, but only Alonso did.
Yeah,
Alonso have been
Alonso.
like protesting against the track limits and all. Because
Alonso is a
sometimes
Chad guy. He's the
Alonso still right now is like one of the best drivers on the grid.
really
If you give him
it's
the mug,
true.
yeah, if you give him that mug seat, if you like next year you put like Verstappen, no, not Verstappen, Verstappen is fast. Like if you put Alonso in a mug seat, I think he will be able to win the drivers' championship. Because that guy has been out of F1 for two years,
Bro, he won the Le
2019,
Mans. He won the Le
yeah,
Mans in his downtime, yeah. Like,
yeah, he won at Le Mans. He almost won the Indy 500 in 2017, and then he has been out of an F1 car for like 2 years. And he was at McLaren. He hasn't driven for Renault since 2009. Then also he came back to the Enstone team, Alpine, and then he also is adapted so well. He actually in the last six races he has scored more points than both the Aston Martins combined. While the Aston Martins are the faster car.
dude, like Alonso's like literally taking his revenge against Sebastian Vettel for the time
Yeah.
period between 10 to 13. Like,
I, I
literally.
genuinely think I don't know why many people are not like hiring Fernando Alonso. And one of the worst things Ferrari did in the last 2 to 3 decades was to let Alonso go. Because if Alonso was in their teams in say 2018 or 2017, I'm sorry, but Alonso would have won the championship for Ferrari.
Damn, man. Part of me really loves Fernando Alonso. He's such a great guy. Fernando, if
Yeah,
you're hearing this, man, give me a shout out. I really give. So back to business. So it was raining cats and dogs at Sochi, and with the F2 sprint race, I think it was sprint race which got cancelled, right, Shiv?
yeah, second sprint race.
All right.
Actually, what they did was the F3 race was supposed to be on Friday, on Saturday, and the F3 qualifying and practice was supposed to be on Friday, and the F3 race was supposed to be on Saturday. But what they did was they like preponed the race, so F3 had the qualifying practice and the race on Friday only because of
Wow.
the
Like
washout that was
everything in
predicted.
one day.
Yeah, that's why the Dennis Hogger, a Norwegian driver, won the championship.
Bro, he just passed his 12th examinations. You know that,
Yeah.
and I'm here
Theo
like I'm doing a BTech right now, and I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing with
Theo
my life?
Puche, Theo Puche, the Sauber academy driver, actually doesn't have his car license.
It, Verstappen didn't even have his car license
Yeah.
when he when he made his debut for Red Bull. So right. So, hopefully the track dried up and everyone came out with their intermediate tires. But dude, George Russell struck again. Like, he's so calm and calculated. He's like some other guy. He said, "Prep the slicks." And when his engineer said to do a cool down, he actually kept pushing his Williams. In that way, he built his confidence. He pushed the limits of his car and he got sufficient amount of heat in his brakes and tires. And he placed himself on an incredible P3 again above Lewis Hamilton. It's funny to think that Williams was so devoted to Russell during quali, they actually forgot to put. They actually forgot about Russell. He didn't even come out on track. They literally forgot about him. F man. So, what are thoughts on Russell again? Yeah, like after this performance.
Now, after this performance, he really proved his mettle. Because I actually thought after his contract negotiations, I was thinking like, why is he going so far back? But then at Monza, Latifi was ahead of him at one point, but then he also managed to score points. Then at Sochi also, I was thinking in practice, what the hell is Russell doing? But then he pulled out like a banger in qualifying and scored points again. It's funny to think how Russell was crying at the Hungarian Grand Prix. It was because so
Why is he
emotional.
crying? Why? What? Why? Why did he cry,
Because
man?
like he has been with the team for at that point he was with the team for 2.5 years, 2019, 2020, and 2021. And then like he wasn't able to score a single point, and when he did, he was like so happy. He
Like
was like
tears of joy,
delighted.
man. Like,
Yeah.
so
And
that's
then next race he got a podium.
what are the odds? What totally. So, I'm actually really looking forward for next year, unless, Mercury actually goes through with their recalibration and conditioning. That thing makes me shudder. Shit, man. So, results for qualifying were Lando Norris on P1, Carlos Sainz on P2, and George Russell on P3. Lando actually made his daddy Zach Brown proud by placing his McLaren on P1. He, switched to softs late in Q3, and it was really a big gamble with these last minute tire changes. And, what a momentous result we had, right?
Yeah.
So, now on to the race classification. So, man, this is gonna be tough. Number 44 on P1, number 33 on P2, and number 55 on P3. But that's not the point, ladies and gentlemen. We had a really fantastic grid this time at the front and at the back too. We had Max, Valtteri, and Charles. They were at the back with grid penalties for component changes. And in the front, we had two best friends ready to battle it out. So if you have watched Drive to Survive Shift, you may have remembered, Bottas said that it was much more beneficial to place yourself on P2 on this track to, gain a huge amount of
P3.
tow. And yeah,
Actually, it's beneficial to place your car at P3.
no, P2.
No,
Valtteri got in
P3
P2.
because no, Valtteri got P3. Verstappen got P2 last year.
So who got
That's
P1? Lewis?
Lewis.
Shit.
Yeah, that's why Valtteri almost led going into turn two.
I
But
should.
see, at the when you're like the France straight is like from all the way from turn one to turn from the start finish line to turn two, it's 800 meters or 900 meters. So when you have a car going in front of you, it's like basically like pushing the air towards the side, and you have like a very, let's say, a vacuum type of situation. You're in a very low pressure zone and the car ahead is in a high you're in a high pressure, the car ahead is creating a low pressure zone, so you're basically like sucked to the car, so you're getting a tow which is like increasing your top speed. That's why it's beneficial to have a car starting in front of you,
All
and that's why
right.
P3 is best.
Okay. I really need to get.
Carlos was just lucky because Russell, you could see at the start, got a very good getaway and he was almost about to overtake Lando. But then Lando moved towards the side and gave Carlos a tow, which caused Carlos to lead into turn one.
I'm gonna perform some fact checks. So. Also, I think P3 is too much of a gamble to place yourself at this point. But, uh, he placed himself in P3, and albeit Merck's strategy failing due to rain in some parts, Carlos Sainz got a huge tow from Lando Norris, and he got himself at P1 in the first lap itself for a while. And it was such a joyous moment because we all knew that it was a long time coming for these two guys battling it out finally. That too at the front of the pack. Hell, even Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso gained substantial number of positions before turn two. You know that, like
Yeah.
Lance Stroll went from P8 to P4, and Fernando got into the top three at that point. You
Mm.
know, but one thing was strange shift that Valtteri didn't even put up a fight with Max, and he just let him go ahead. I guess you can say that he
He
was.
did try to put up a fight because at that point they were going into turn 14, I think it was, and going then from turn 11 to turn 14, it's a DRS zone. So Verstappen got a very good run on him, and Valtteri didn't expect that Verstappen would dive bomb him. Because it's very rare that drivers dive bomb one another at turn 14. So I think he didn't expect it, but yeah, he must have been like he didn't care enough because like he's leaving the team, he doesn't care, and the team sacrificed him. That
Well,
like the
I guess you can say he was done being the beta and now he was going for alpha. I know. Pretty lame joke on my part, big oof. So Lando was doing really well right till the end, but then Zeus, the god of thunder, decided he wanted some part of F1 action, and lo and behold, rain came pouring down. It was lightly at first, but then we had a full out wet race in the end stages. Everyone boxed for intermediates and they made up for lost time. But some drivers like Leclerc, they struggled a lot with their inters for some reason. So what was up with him? Like, what happened? Was he not able to?
Actually, the thing with Leclerc was that Ferrari generally what they do is that they generally prefer the driver who's at the front of the race at that moment. So at that moment, Sainz was P4 or P5 and Leclerc was P6 or P7. So Ferrari decided to pit Carlos first to give him inters. Then after that, they kept Leclerc out for 2 laps more. They thought that the rain might get less, so it will help Leclerc, but it didn't. So that's why. So he was just unlucky.
Yeah. So, as I was saying before, Lando was being advised to box, but he actually kept on going. I mean, bro, the guy streams F1 games on Twitch, and despite his poor judgment, he had a Lightning McQueen moment, like in the opening of Cars. He should have known that he will experience a lot of understeer and drifting with his hard tires. Hasn't he played any of those F1 games? Like, you always experiment
It's
with
very
tires.
difficult. It's very different between F1 games and
No, I know,
real
but
life.
it's
Because
well, no, but
at
it's
that
like
point,
simulation. But you'll know, na, that driving a hard tire on a wet track would
no,
cause
no, see, see,
yeah.
see. What the teams thought was McLaren thought that the rain will only hit the turn 6 to 10 area and it won't come towards the whole track and the lane will get lighter. That's what they thought. But Mercedes saw the radar and they thought that the rain will get first. Rain will only get heavier from now on, so it's better to pit for inters. And when Mercedes decided to pit, it was a great decision. And Norris at that point in his car, he didn't know what the weather condition was like. He didn't know anything. He had the mighty Lewis Hamilton in a Mercedes behind him.
you know
That's very
Shiv,
scary.
at that time I was watching on Hotstar, and things were getting really tense. Just as they showed Charles Leclerc skidding off, they cut the feed and they actually switched the stream to IPL, and I was like, what the fuck did you guys just do? There's some more important shit going down in Russia right now. But it's true, like he lost his tire temperature, he messed up, he got off the track. It cost him his maiden F1 win, and it really makes me feel sad. Actually, I was more like pissed off, but then my eyes looked up on the board. I saw a little bit down the positions, and guess who was closing in on P2? Yes, it was my Lulu. So, guys, Lewis Hamilton took a brilliant win, which was also his 100th race win. Congrats, Lewis Hamilton. You're the absolute GOAT right now, and you're a legend in this sport. Ah, that need to come
Easy,
out.
man, easy.
Yeah. So, who knew that a guy who signed with Merck just like that would result in Merck's hegemony and dominance in the sport? I was so damn happy about it. But yeah, I feel for wholesome Lando Bobando. Yeah, I wish he gets his win in this season itself. But
There
now,
are like,
yeah,
see. Like Williams have 114 wins to their name in Formula One. Mercedes have 120. McLaren have 180 or 190. Ferrari have 240. That's an enormous number. 100 race victories. Brazil, as Crawford said, Brazil and all the world champions combined have 106 race victories. And Brazilian drivers are like very good. Like you have Ayrton Senna, Nelson Piquet, Felipe
Felipe.
Massa, Rubens Barrichello, and all, and they have 106 victories to their name. And Lewis alone has 100. That's an enormous, staggering number. 100 race victories.
100,
Damn, man.
100 pole positions, 100 race
Uh,
victories. I love Lulu. Yeah. No
100
one.
race victories is like that guy's won for 5 consecutive straight seasons. Like, let's say a season has for an average 20 races, then that means 100 race victories mean he has won for 5 straight seasons.
Yeah, right. So, now we're entering Seb's playground at Turkey. So, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 7 races. So, anything you'd like to share regarding the next predictions, your new predictions for the upcoming races now? Tell me.
I think even at the even at the tracks which are supposed to favor Red Bull, they will favor
Why?
Mercedes because Mercedes are like closing in on that, and they have done an amazing job, so like developing the cars. So I
Yeah.
think
The W11 is a beauty, yeah.
W11, yeah,
Yeah. Wait, W11 is the mug car, right? I don't want to get
yeah.
into the fact. Wait,
Last year's was W11,
wait. So this is W12 right now, right?
but W11 was better.
What am I doing?
W11 was the fastest car in F1 history, and it will be the fastest car in F1 history for a very long time.
All right. Shivanshu, last topic for today is that you have gone on record to, really state your fascination with the Mission Winnow logo these days. So tell me, like, I really want to know right now. Tell me the truth.
It looks good. So the Mission Winnow logo is the green logo, which is on the Ferrari car right now. And there's like Philip Johnson International. They manufacture cigarettes and tobacco. They own Marlboro brand, and Marlboro has been like huge sponsor in F1 for many years. They sponsored McLaren and the Senna era. Then they had the infamous partnership with Ferrari, and then in 2008, F1 decided to ban all the tobacco uh, advertisements. So the teams found an ingenious way to go around that. The Mission Winnow is actually is like a initiative by Marlboro to actually promote e-cigarettes and all.
All right.
And in the McLaren team, they had the Vest. They had the sponsor called Vest. That was also a secret sponsor. And they in 2019 had a saying on their car for a better tomorrow. It's also a tobacco advertisement.
Well, I'm less of a, Mission Winnow guy. I'm more of a husky chocolate guy myself. So,
Actually,
I think,
in 2020, the tobacco advertisements in Formula One went to around I think $100 million.
really, yeah,
Yeah, even after the ban.
it's such a sport. Like, it would obviously generate a lot of revenue, man. They're not gonna struggle. They have high-powered cars. So anything much to add? I told you, like, Marlboro had a huge campaign here in India where they said that don't smoke Marlboro, and their stock just doubled with that momentum. Like, reverse psychology, guys. This is how the world
Uno
works,
reverse
man.
card.
So, guys, that was it for our 4 race discussion on this episode of Fireball. We're gonna be heading up with more episodes, so stay tuned to the channel and we'll be coming up with new content. Shiv, anything else to say?
No.
That was quick. So, guys, this is Shiv and Arman. We're signing off. Thanks for watching.